Wow, welcome to Sky Blue Fans TV. Slightly late delay, but we're here now, the home of the passionate Coventry City supporters. And today we're asking the big questions every fan's talking about. Are we up for the fight? Can this team dig deep and push through the challenges ahead? Is Josh Eccles the right man to wear the armband? Has he got the leadership to take us forward and get us out of this little bit of a sort of dodgy spell, I suppose you could call it that? And what do we need to turn it around? Is it tactics? Do we need to get a freebie in? Do we need to really strengthen that midfield somehow? Is there anybody in the academy that could help us out? And perhaps the biggest question of all, is Mark Robins the right man to lead the Sky Blues? Well, good evening, Vicky. And
Evening,
I suppose I'm going to bring Jack in. We've got Jack from the Leamington Warwick Supporters Club as well. I'm going to ask you now straight away, Vicky, are we up for the fight?
I think so. I think that it's been a slow and slightly disappointing start, like you've just referenced. But we've seen, haven't we? I mean, fundamentally, this is still the same team that put in performances against the likes of like the fight back against Man United, the displays against teams like Wolves last season, the fight back in various games. So fundamentally, that core is still there, isn't it? I think, and ultimately, that desire and drive, I still believe, has always come from Mark Robins. Fundamentally, I think so. We obviously won't talk about that now because that's the last question. But fundamentally, I think that's still why we'll be going in the right direction.
It's interesting that Josh almost becoming like a bit of a spokesman, hasn't he? All of a sudden, I know he's got the captain's armband. We'll get to him in a second, but because of course we didn't really hear him talk a lot. In the past, he's a fairly quiet guy, and he is fairly quiet on the pitch. But Jack, have we got the fight for this? Do you think the squad has it?
I think in certain games, yeah, we absolutely do. Like Vicky mentioned, Wolves, Man United, Leeds, Leicester last season. We've got Leeds at the weekend. What better game to turn it around? It's the sort of game they're going to come at us. We'll go back at them just as hard, I'm sure. Especially after this rough spell, I've got faith that we'll turn it around. Maybe not result-wise, but performance-wise, absolutely. We showed it against Tottenham the other week. We've got the fight when we want to. Certain games we haven't, and I think Leeds is definitely a game we'll show the fight for sure.
Oh, well, we did last season, didn't we? We definitely showed a bit of fight and determination, although they could have scored quite a few goals, but we did keep them out.
Playing a back six, yeah.
Okay. So to the pair of you then, start with you, Vicky. What have you seen then, really, that you think we've got enough in the current squad to get us over this bit of a spell?
I think there's players there that there's been a couple of players that I think have fallen short, and unfortunately, it's a team game. And if you've got players that are falling short, you tend to find that you've got problems because it works as like it's almost like a clockwork thing, isn't it? So if something's going wrong on a certain part of the pitch, it's impacting elsewhere. And I think, so we're talking about the Leeds game. That actually was one of the sort of kick-ons of our season last season. I commented on a post earlier on Facebook, and I was saying last season we'd won 6 games in 22 going up to the Leeds game, and then we won 6 in 9 afterwards. That performance, I think, really kicked on that spell of our season. I think it probably was good for both the players and the fans. It gave the players some belief because they'd gone up there and got a decent result. And also, I think, as is always the way, at the beginning of the season, there'd been some rumblings and that we hadn't started quite as well as we'd been hoping for. The players were still looking, we'd obviously brought in virtually a whole new squad, hadn't we? So they were still settling down. And so, similar to this season, last season was a little bit slow getting going. And that Leeds game really sort of kick-started a spell of games after that where we were in much better form, and it included the Leicester game that we won. Started off probably the beginning of the cup when I would have thought, because it went into January. So, and a lot of those players are still here. I mean, we haven't changed the team so fundamentally this summer, have we? So, players like Sims obviously was asked to do a job up front, holding on to the ball. He's still here. Bobby Thomas got the goal, didn't he? He's still here. These players are still all here, and they showed the fight last season. So why would that have gone this season? Just because there's a bit of a bad spell. So,
do you go along with that, Jack? Is there a certain area in the team that probably needs to sort of wake up, basically?
Well, it's the defending as a unit. I'm not going to say the defenders, but it's the defending as a unit. So we saw against Swansea that Milan was one defender against two players constantly. You can blame Milan for making bad choices, but if he's not got the support from his teammates, the midfielders tracking back, the winger tracking back, for example, then anyone, League Two level players are going to beat Milan if it's 2v1. It's as simple as that. So defending as a whole has got to get better. However that works, it has to. We can't keep conceding goals. We haven't kept a clean sheet since the Everton game, and we all know how poor Everton are. So if we don't keep clean sheets, we don't win games. It's as simple as.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the defence, I mean, I sort of brought this up a few times where they are the same defenders as last season. And we were shipping goals last season. The year before, we've talked about it. Ben, 21 clean sheets, was it, Jack? Well, 22 clean sheets, something like that. They're the reason we got to the playoffs in the end, and Ben scoring, of course, at Blackburn. That helped. But yeah, but the fact is, we had a three. Well, we can talk about formations, but we had a three in the middle of the back three who liked defending. They really, I mean, especially Fads, he liked organising. So maybe there's that problem as well with our team to get out of this bit of a mire. I mean, obviously, Ben Sheaf is key, but Ben Sheaf is never fit. So we've got a problem with him, haven't we? And it does feel we're just a bit light in that area of leadership. I mean, that could take us on to Josh being captain. Is he the right guy to be captain? Because we do know that Mark Robbins likes to pass it around, doesn't he? But I'll just read some comments out first, and then before I do the comments, I'll just bring this in as well. If you're looking to travel, I can't see my glasses. I've got, but they're not strong enough. So, coach travel provider to your away games. Big Travel. That's their ccfctravel.co.uk. We've got two ads there. Look, that's even nice. That's a nice bigger one. Look, you can scan here. Look, apparently up there. So they'll get you there, no problems. They used to be the official coach company, but somebody else is doing that, and they've got no places left, which is, frankly, am I allowed to say that's a bit ridiculous when you're the official coach travel? Surely you should have spaces available, whatever, basically, but that's, we'll just leave that there for now. And if you want parking, of course, this is next week. If you want coventryparking.co.uk for all your parking, off-site parking for the CBS Arena. I use one of those. Keeps me a bit of exercise from Christ the King. It's harder on the way back. It's uphill.
But no, I also know because I park at Wheelwright School, Wheelwright Lane School, and it's uphill on the way back. And I'm always like, well, this is more hard work than going, isn't it? And it's all very good if there's been a good game and a good result, but if it hasn't, it's a bit of an effort to like trudge back up that hill.
Right, let's get to the comments. Well, Wayne Vaughan reckons I need to take a breath. That's our new intro, Wayne. We're going fast and furious. I'm beyond. You look like a fast and furious man, Jack.
No, not me.
Oh. I think we're on number 54, I think. Right, and evening, everybody, and we're really pleased that you joined us. Yeah, we love it. We love it. If you can like and subscribe, that'd be fantastic. So, Mick Davenport, our midfield defence still needs strengthening. Gar87, hi guys, been a while. Hope you're all okay. So, here we go then. Paul Cuttyford, I think Eccles does not possess the fight or the driving force we need from a captain in midfield. From where I see him, he does not become verbal enough on the field. So with you then, Jack, agree or disagree?
I half disagree with that comment. I feel like with the current team we've got, is there a better captain? Probably not. He suits it. He's got the passion. He's got the drive. He's a Cov fan. To being vocal, maybe he's not vocal enough yet, but he's been captain at younger levels with us, so he's got the ability, but maybe he needs to find his voice a bit. We just lack general leadership and experience across the team, though. So whether if he was captain and we got Fads in a defence with a back five again, we wouldn't be complaining. We wouldn't be saying that there's not leadership and voice on the team, because Eccles can have that, but I think the lack of experience in the whole team in general just makes that a difficult challenge.
Yeah, because I mean, he had a great game against Spurs, and I said on the show, didn't I? If he plays like that every time he's wearing the armband,
yeah,
make him captain. What do you think? He definitely did, didn't he, Vicky? He had a great game.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I think the one thing with Eccles, he gets a lot of stick. The one thing I think you always get with him, for me personally, and obviously people have their own opinions, but I think you always get effort. I think that he's one player that will put in the effort. He might not have the best game, he might get things wrong, but I never feel like he's a player that's not trying. He's always given his best. And so for me, when we've got not a lot of experience and probably not many people are particularly vocal on the pitch, the one thing he can do is be a player that can lead by example and say, this is the effort that we should all be putting in. And if the players who were better were putting in that effort too, then we'd be getting results. So for me, that makes him a perfect captain at the moment, and I can't see anyone else that I'd give it to.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? Because, I mean, Latty's been captain, hasn't he? And he's started games with Josh and Bobby Thomas. I'm sure Bobby Thomas has been captain as well. He just likes to pass it around. I think obviously, if Ben Sheaf is fit, he's the captain.
Yeah.
But I kind of think you should just have a vice captain and he should just be playing. And I personally, I mean, Lewis Binks for me. I just think of all the defenders, he's been the most consistent so far.
Yeah.
But then, Josh had a good game though. He's okay the other day as well. I mean, sometimes his distribution is not brilliant, but there was sheer effort in there. And I think as a team, there's a comment here from James Hollyoak, and it's true. Shouldn't we be fighting in every game? Well, we should be. And it's a bit worrying when I hear expressions from Mark Robbins, that's not like us. Well, I'm sorry.
Becoming like us.
It's been like us for most of the season so far. With Watford 45 minutes, a great first half. And I said if we'd have played like that in 45 minutes in all the other games, we'd have probably won them. We didn't even have that 45 minutes on Saturday, did we? Which was disappointing. And when you look back, we didn't really talk about the goals against Swansea we conceded, but the first one was awful defending. There's no leadership there. I know we're playing a zonal defence, but nobody stepped in to clear it, and nobody looked like they knew what to do with it once it went loose in the box. But the second goal was worse, where Asante, Eva, Milan, and there was somebody else on the edge of the box. Was it? I don't know if it was.
But the second goal was just irrelevant almost. He sort of jogged back and then didn't put a tackle in and then deflected it in the net.
Yeah, and it was almost like nobody wanted to make a decision, and I think that's key. And I don't know. I mean, at the minute, there's not much to choose from, is there, Vicky?
No, I was going to say as well that the decision making is probably one of the main issues. That sometimes you just have to clear the ball, don't you? Like you have to go back to the old sort of Alan Hansen school of like just get it away. And there's been a fair few goals this season where there's a couple of players that are there and none of them can make a decision who's going to actually deal with it, and that's something that needs to improve as well. I think like some decisiveness. Yeah.
So I'll tell you what then. I would currently. Obviously, he might not even pick Louis Binks, but I would go for him as our captain. Who would you pick, Vicky?
I'm going to sit with Josh Eccles.
So you Josh,
yeah.
Jack?
I'd stick with Eccles again. I think with the whole thing that Sheaf's been captain, and Kelly's been captain, but Fads is another captain on the pitch. We need that. We need Eccles to be captain, but we need other captains, if you like. We need the leadership at the back from maybe a Binks. We need Eccles to be the captain, the centre, but then we need someone to lead that front as well. At the moment, we're chopping and changing a striker. Last season when Sims was on form, he was leading that front line immaculately. Now he seems low on confidence. He scored one goal. No one else is leading that front line either. So I think in the grand scheme, without Sheaf, who we pick as captain isn't the problem. It's who's leading the sections in the moments in the game, and no one's doing that. That's a big problem.
Yeah, I think I just wonder whether or not teams, when you play against them, they realise that you like we're a bit unhinged. It seemed easy for Swansea, didn't it? Really, that with the high press, it seemed just very easy, and that's the worrying thing, that we didn't look compact at all, and it was a bit disorganised. And it's like you're saying, Jack, it's up to the players, isn't it? It's not just the one man, I suppose. Everybody has got to dig in. I'll read some more comments. It's on Lee Dan. Evening, ladies and gents. Looking forward to the weekend. Or so am I, actually. I believe MR plays Latz and Eccles in midfield and will turn our season around. Hope Sheaf gets some minutes under his belt, which I think he will. There's hot and sweaty Wayne. Good evening from the gym. He's probably in the bar, isn't he? Although he's recuperated from his operation. He's going to hopefully running soon, doing his marathons. In terms of Eccles being a skipper, no from me. Big game this weekend, and what a time to turn it around. It can happen. What? So what, Wayne? What would change your mind? Graham Cockerell. I come to the conclusion that the changes in the coaching staff have made a big difference in that they cannot get the players to their abilities. Too many coaches spoil the pot. Does anyone agree with me? Well, we'll just briefly. Well, we'll talk about that in a bit because we'll talk about Mark Robbins later and everything else surrounding Mark Robbins. Wayne Littlewood, I'll tell you what, you're not doing much if you're on here messaging. Defending as a unit, midfield constantly overrun and not putting away the chances. Sadly, I don't think the current defenders come close to Fads, Doyle and McNally. Well, they don't, because the two lads are from Premier League clubs at the time. And, I know Louis was playing for Bologna, but ex-Spurs, but the other two lads were playing for Barnsley, and they got, League One. So, yeah. We got Ian Courts, need to improve our home form. Away win or draw is a bonus. That is one thing, isn't it? The last 14 home matches, we've lost 7. And some of them have been pretty awful performances. And we can't hide from that. It's meant to be Fortress CBS. And I can remember, was it the season when we first came back? We won our first 6, was it? And then we drew with Derby. Something like that, wasn't it? And we felt like we were never going to lose at home.
Yeah.
I actually feel like we're never going to win a game at the minute at home. And the crowd, 26,000 people there. I don't know what you guys think. Do you think sometimes the expectation is a bit too much for some of these players? Because some of them wouldn't be used to playing in front of this many players, supporters, sorry.
Yeah, the expectation outweighs the performance. When Leicester come to town, who are top of the league and flying, we don't expect to win, and then we batter them. And it's the exact opposite, no disrespect to Swansea, but they've been a mid-table club for what seems like ever now in the Championship. They don't seem to do anything. They don't threaten relegation, but they beat us every time they turn up. We threw away a 3-goal lead against them a few years ago, for God's sakes. It's like when we expect to win, we crumble, and when we have no expectation, we perform. That's exactly why I think we'll do well against Leeds this weekend.
So about you, Vicky, do you perform better when there's nobody watching?
Well, yeah.
That's an innocent question.
But no, it's true. It's like, obviously I work in an office, I'm typing. If someone's there watching me, I suddenly can't type. It's the same thing. So there is that degree of like psychological impact when there's people watching, isn't there? So I don't know.
Or is it just our crowd watching them? Because when we're at Wembley, they can put performance there, can't they? We've gone away like Wolves away. That's a great performance. In front of,
also, we had a big gate at Leeds home last season, didn't we? And we turned up for that game. So it's maybe not. It's not the crowd. It's like Jack just said. It's more maybe the expectation or the drive because it's a perceived to be difficult game. I don't know so it's not the numbers, is it? It's just it's the actual game.
Yeah, I know from historically, Cot fans used to say that. It's typical. We get a big crowd and we lose. But last season, I think the 6 biggest crowds we had, I think we only lost one of the games. I think we did okay. It's just that the back end of the season was just pants. Basically, that's the only way to describe it. It wasn't very good at all. And I know we had the cup run, but you only need a couple of games to get over disappointment, surely. And I think with 6 games to go, we still had a chance of the playoffs, didn't we? We were in there. We had a chance. And I'd have thought losing that semi-final would have given you a bit of drive to try and get something back from the season. For me,
I think the opposite almost.
I'm a bit more positive in that respect. I just thought, it give you the drive, but we just went the complete opposite way.
Yeah.
But
it's always going to go our way, and we were still just kept on losing. And week after week, you're still thinking, "No, we've blown it," and the results still went our way, and then we'd blow it again. And yeah. And the trouble is, I think we're having a poor home form. That really affects So there's obviously a lot of negativity around at the moment within the fan base because people are feeling like disillusioned. That's the trouble when you've got a bad home form, because more people are there seeing that, aren't they? They're walking away thinking that was disappointing. Like that season when we didn't win a single game away all season, I don't remember feeling that like that. But we were doing all right at home, so I think there wasn't such the same despondency around the sort of fan base. I mean, it's difficult because obviously there wasn't as much social media back in those days, but it doesn't. It feels like it's probably the fact that we're at home and there's a lot of people there, and a lot of new people there that are thinking, "What's this all about? This wasn't what I was expecting," and that doesn't help, does it? It sets a negative trend.
Well, I mean, in those days, it was a letter to the Pink or the Telegraph.
Yeah, I used to
a letter to the owner and send me a season ticket back and get it sent back to me. yeah, a strongly worded. I can't even say email because it didn't bother. It was like 1999, 2000, wasn't it? But also, we didn't have the away following you get now as well, which it's staggering that we got 3,000 going to Leeds.
Yeah,
I think. On the back of the performance we've just had. So the fans are doing their bit. The supporters have been brilliant. I mean, Swansea, the noise level wasn't really off the scale, but it's very difficult when, you got to have something to cheer about. It works both ways, doesn't it? If you go
positive, I thought we carried in the atmosphere from the Spurs game. It started off positive and it just sort of dwindled. I mean, the performance and the weather just really didn't help, did it? Because people are sat there soaking wet and it's not great.
Yes. So we'll go through some more of these comments. This is Peter Doolan. Every season we start poorly. If by Christmas we're still down there, we have to worry. With a full fit squad, I believe we will climb up the table and reach the top 6. Did anybody hear the recap of Doug King's interview from last season? I think it was about a couple of days after the playoff. Not the playoff, the semi-final or the end of the season. He was saying how we can't start slowly like we have done in the previous 2 seasons. You can't give everybody a head start, basically, and it's not something we wanting to do. I mean, to be honest, that's every club can say that, can't they? Nobody wants to start slowly, but I think because he's thinking we need to get on the front foot straight away. I mean, how slow a start is it? How many games do you count as a slow start? How, where's the stopping point? Because last season we won 3 and 15, and I think, was it Jim Brown said we were 19th in November still, or something like that. So how long? What's the period of slow start? How many games is a slow start? What do you reckon, Jack? How long do you give it?
Well, I don't know. Well, we're sort of nearing the 15% mark, aren't we? 10% be 4.5 games. So, yeah, we're what would you say, 20% maybe? So maybe 9 games. After the 9-game mark, we need to kick on. So by game 10, we ought to be pushing.
So it's the international break, basically, isn't it?
The second international break, yeah.
I don't know. I'm just still a bit frustrated. I am. Wayne Littlewood is also a case of too many chefs in the kitchen. The amount of coaches in the squad is unreal. Well, it is, isn't it? Dawn Cook, maybe it's time to put Kitchen back with Thomas as they work well together. I do like Binks, but they're two, but need more aggression at the back. One from Glenn.
Did you see you got a yellow card and everything on the pitch?
Yeah. Oh,
Typical.
Standard. The players just... if Alan is out for 6 months, as rumoured, then we are in big trouble in midfield. And also, Assassins Unite says, the players just need to believe in themselves. Now, this is a point... Glenn brings it up, and it's something I've talked about. And when we've been off air, I've been vocal about this with the academy. What is going on with our academy? Because we're not bringing any players through whatsoever who are can get breakthrough and actually keep a place in the squad. they either get loaned out or they just disappear. And it's so poor because our model, we keep being told our model is to get them in cheap, sell them on big. Well, we're not buying cheap anymore. And I'm not sure what kind of return we're going to get on the players we have brought in. I mean, will we get the 40 million back from the 40 million we've spent on these players? Probably not now. But we haven't got any Madisons, have we, where you know you might get big money? We've not got, I mean, Gyökeres and Hamer, Sisu players, they came in cheaply, and I'm not through the academy. Even Katie Palmer was nothing, wasn't he? And we got nearly $1 million for him. But in terms of young players, there's nobody breaking through. And we're struggling at the minute for numbers, and Howley and Burrows are on loan. And what I don't get is, for me, a strong squad is when you've got your main players on the bench, but you've also got maybe two who can't get in. They're waiting to come in, who are actually good enough to be in that squad, but they can't break through. We're already seeing the odd one sneaking on, the academy guys, but I feel like they're never going to get on the pitch. I mean, Ibiku, he looked quite good when he played.
Yeah.
What do you reckon, Jack? What do you think?
Yeah, he's gone out on loan, hasn't he, Ibiku? I think in the last 6 or 7 years we've moved forward quite well. You know, we had a League One, League Two academy, and we were in the bottom end of League One and League Two. We had two promotions in 3 years, and then we've gone from being a championship surviving club to a championship playoff hoping club, and that's a big gulf anyway. Our academy has not kept up in any way. The last decent asset we had, who was in the youth academy, was Tavares. You know, he was bought in for the youth academy, has broken into the first team, and has been pushed back out of the first team with the new signings. So the model isn't working, but I feel like that's more on the advancement of the first team and the lack of capabilities of keeping up of the academy. Maybe that means too many resources have been put into the first team compared to the academy. You know, just as an example, take Leicester. They sold Harry Maguire for £80 million to Man United. Didn't spend a penny of that on players. They revamped their whole academy system, the training facilities, you know, just the whole setup with that 80 million. Yeah, they've come down. They went straight back up because they've got that setup, that infrastructure. They've pulled Dewsbury Hall through their academy system. It's exactly what we need to be. Maybe we need to sell a Gyökeres, a Hamer, whoever that may be, and start investing at a lower level rather than try and replace someone like that with 2 or 3 new signings. Fix it at the academy level, bring the academy level up to the standard for a championship, and then we can bring players through and start from there.
What do you reckon, Vicky? Do you reckon we'll be patient enough if we tried that? Can you imagine that? We sell, I don't know, so we say Milan for 20 million, and then Doug King says, we're going to work on some 11-year-olds. What do you reckon? Do you reckon we'd buy that?
Well, I think it'd be an absolute meltdown, wouldn't it? I think Jack's made a really good point there. I think, and you don't always think about that, do you? The fact that we've progressed so quickly, because I think there's quite a few players from like the youth team that look relatively decent. I always like the look of Burrows. Think Howley looks okay, but they're all probably players that if we were in sort of bottom half of the championship or even still League One, would definitely be playing. They're definitely good enough for that level. It's the problem that we are now playing at a high level and we're pushing for more than they're capable of. And it's a shame, really, because they probably would have all come through and offered something for squad depth, and we've just moved on too quickly for them. And so that's probably the only way to deal with it. But I can't imagine that going down well with big sections of the fan base. So I don't know the solution to that, really.
I mean, going back a few years, we had Ponticelli, who in League Two, a lot of fans are screaming for when we couldn't score any goals at the start of the season. We were struggling, weren't we? And he never got a look in. And to be fair, when he did come on the pitch, he looked nowhere near as good as I thought he was going to be, and looked like he had one too many pies. So I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, I know they see these guys all the time, but I feel like Jack Burrows is. I mean, he was doing all right 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Howley did okay when he played.
They both started strings of games for us. I mean, I remember going to Vicarage Road a couple of years ago, knowing that they'd just been relegated. They'd got Ismaili Sarr on the wing. I'm reading that our back five was Josh Eccles at right wing back and Burrows at left wing back, thinking they're going to tear us to shreds, and we kept clean sheet and won 1-0. Burrows had a good little run. Again, I think it was Sheaf who got injured in the season we got to playoffs. And Howley started 3 or 4 games in a row. Looked pretty good. He looked up to it. I know the team were really informed at the time, which obviously helps. If the team were playing like they were now, Howley would come in and make things worse in the nicest way possible to the lad. It just wouldn't help his development. It would hinder him. So it's got to be done carefully. Like you said with Ponticelli, he was thrown in, scored a couple of goals, but didn't look at the right level, did he? So
no, he did look sluggish. It was. I was surprised. So we've got a message from Gar87. Evening, Jamie. Claudio, I'm still working on Callum. He's quite shy. So that's not O'Hare. That's another Callum. So you can work out who that might be. GLB Boxing. Even all, next few games will be pivotal for me before the moaners vote with their feet. See, this is the thing. 26,000. We know half of those are the ones who've properly come back. Of which half of those are the ones that probably were staying away because of Cisa in the past and decided to come back as well. So it's, fans need convincing. And I know we say we're so fickle, but that's the same all over.
All clubs are the same. It's the world of football, isn't it? Yeah.
I think if you entertain, you got more chance of keeping people. And that's my worry at the minute. I think, dare I say it, I think we're a bit boring to watch at times. The B word, well, we are. I mean, there's a couple of games this season at home, and I'm looking around and people look bored.
Yeah, but that's because you're sat in the posh box and no one sings around.
You're with the wrong people.
Come sit by me, Claudio, block 14. You'll have a whale of a time.
I can't dirty my hands in block 14. Me, the Earl of so Wayne again. You're not doing anything in the gym, Wayne. You're just messing about on here, aren't you? But anyway, I'm glad you have joined us. Eccles is hard-working individual and no doubt a decent young chap. He had a decent game against Tottenham, but generally blows more cold than hot. Not consistent and overall not good enough. Can never fault his effort though. All right. There we go. With Assassins Unite. One thing I do believe is that they should have one captain and a vice captain, not the multiple captains. Yeah, it's the Gareth Southgate of picking captains, isn't it? It's all a bit random. So Doug Bolam, I think Eccles was our best player against Swansea as well against Spurs. I think most would say he was actually. And Trevor Merriman, sorry, but Eccles is not a captain. From where we sit, did not hear him guiding or encouraging players around him. In fact, didn't hear any City players communicating much. Lewis Binks, more vocal, should be captain while no Sheaf. See, me and Trevor get on like a house on fire. I like Trevor. I just messaged him, Trevor, please agree with me.
I don't disagree with the idea. I just think is changing captains every 3 games healthy. I think Robbins has found his man now in Eccles. He trialled it with Bidwell, he's trialled it with Latty, he's trialled it with Allen. None of them really have worked. Maybe giving Eccles the armband is the kick that he needs to improve. He's clearly improved in the last few games. He's been one of our best players. So hopefully, long may it continue.
Yes, well, Glenn says go back to basics. Thomas and Kitchen or Latty and Binks, whichever we choose. I just got a load of messages and that just shot at the screen somewhere. Where are we? There we go. I'll put it up, shall I? Whichever we choose, back them for the next 5 or 6 games unless there is injuries or suspension. Too much chopping and changing all over the pitch. Dawn Cook, I agree with Vicky. Good point on Eccles. He does always try in every game. I do hear Bobby Thomas shouting at people and trying to organise them, but agree in the meantime, there's no one else. Should be Eccles for now. I'm losing in the green stakes, aren't I? I'll read this out. And Joiner, good evening, gorgeous people.
Hi, Anne.
Thank you very much, Anne. I'll read that out. I'll tell you what, I'm glad I got my glasses on, Wayne.
Me too.
Having a gentle walk. I thought it said something else then on the running machine. It's so easy to type. I thought you can't do that in the gym, surely. Where are we? We've got Glenn again. Fact is, we have only these players who can play central midfield until Jan. Sheaf, Eccles, Latti, Rodoni, Torp, Andrews, and then it's academy players like Jack James or Charlie Finney. As Isaac Moore, Bitumen and Yearn are injured. With Burrows and Howley out on loan. What is going on with the injuries? Because I thought we got this sports guru in that's meant to be helping. We'll come back to that. We'll definitely come back to that. Yes. Ian Courts, do you think the ground has a gypsy curse on it? Might explain. Well, they reckon it's that Leicester fan, isn't it? He buried his shirt because he outbilled it, apparently. And somewhere in the ground he's put a Leicester shirt. The fact 10 ton of muck's been put on top of it is about right, actually. Richard Overson, even Richard, think you'll see backs the wall for the game Saturday. Kitch, Thomas and Latti with Sheaf returning will be massive. We need talkers on the pitch. We are a quiet team. Yes, we do. Anthony Pettifer, I think if we took our chances, the outcomes of games would be totally different. Well, there would be, Anthony, but we haven't. And that's,
That's the one thing, though, isn't it, Claudia? Do you think that I was thinking about this? That every game this season, no matter how badly we've played, we've had chances that. So we could have nicked all of the games. We could have won all of the games, couldn't we? Despite how we've actually played. And I was thinking back to like a few seasons back where we were creating like sort of pre-Robins, like pre-relegation to League Two, like when it was really getting dire under Cisa and before Robins came back. And there were seasons where you turn up and you think we're not creating anything. We're not going to score. So we're hoping for 0-0 to get a point. And if the opposition score, like we're stuffed really. And that was really dire, and so the one like positive like from now is that it doesn't feel like that. It feels like there's things that need tweaking and things that need improving, but we're not that far away like we were back then. That all these games we've shown in little spells that we can create stuff, and if we could just sort of get rid of some of the little mistakes, just get a bit sharper in certain areas, are we really a million miles away? And I don't think we are.
Well, we're going to come on to, what do we need to turn it around from tactics, or maybe do we need to get a freebie in or whatever? But I'll read this out from Gavin because it leads us nicely into it. Even all, think Robins will set up on Saturday exactly the same as last season against Leeds. Almost same starting lineup, packing the midfield with defensive type of players and hitting on the break. Fingers crossed we get the result as I'm in the Leeds end. Blimey.
Ooh. He's not coming on our bus, is he? You coming with us, Gav?
It's interesting. So, what do we do then, formation-wise? I've been championing, not that I'm a fan of it, is the three at the back. I just feel we need to get solid, and maybe with the wing backs pushing up high as well to give us something. I mean, against Watford, I'm not sure if it was three at the back. It felt like it at times, but whoever's playing out wide were getting right up the pitch, and they couldn't cope with it in the first half until their keeper faked an injury. But for me personally, I'd go three at the back. I'd stick Binks, Kitchen, and Thomas in there. What do you reckon, Jack? What do you go? What would your preferred formation? So for the next up to the break, the next three games, what would you go for?
I don't want us to revert to a back five because we've brought in players to play on the wing for a reason. And with reverting to a back five, you limit yourself with Milan and either De Silva or Bidwell. And then you sort of pack the midfield and strike force. We've got, we all like Hadji. We think he's better running at goal. I think he's better on the wing. He's no good at crossing the ball, but he's more dynamic on the wing, I think. So with people like Mason Clark, Tats, Hadji playing out wide, Raphael to come back, I know that's probably not going to be soon, but I think we need to play a formation where we keep wide players involved. I don't want us to revert to a back five. If we do, and it's an upturn of form, I'm not going to complain, obviously. But it's looking with the players we've got, a 4-4-2 might be the best option. Go back to how we were playing in League Two almost, not with four at the back, 4 across midfield, where your 2 midfielders are Kelly and Doyle, obviously, or Bayliss. So you could play Eccles and Sheaf in an ideal world, or even Rodoni and Sheaf. 2 wingers, 2 up top, because then you could have Hadji, Ellis, Thomas Asante, or Bassett all playing in their preferred positions as actual strikers. I feel like with the personnel we've got, a 4-4-2 suits best, but that might not translate onto the pitch. So,
right, okay, Vicky, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one, and sometimes I think I wouldn't want Mark Robbins' job, because trying to work out how to get the best out of the players we've got, and also include the players that are probably performing the best or could probably do the best job, it's difficult. So, because I'm tempted to agree with you that 5 at the back, play Thomas, Kitchen and Binks short up, but I also agree with Jack that I don't particularly want to go that way, because I think we lose a lot going forward. I would really like to see Sims and Bassett play together, so a 4-4-2 that allows that to happen, because I think that Sims and Bassett could really be an interesting partnership, and that could be something that actually sparks our season. So I'd really like to see them get some game time together. So a 4-4-2 that allows that would be interesting from my perspective. And personally, I mean, I think I'd rest Wright for a few games. I was really disappointed with him against Swansea. So I'll be playing F1, give him some game time on the left to see what he can do with the winner games. I think some of these players need to be given it, almost like Sims last season. It was almost felt like he wasn't sure that Robbins believed in him, and once he played them in that game against Leeds and then gave him a winner games, his confidence grew, and then he started scoring. And I almost feel like a few of these other players, like F1, he looked good against Everton. I was really impressed and thought, that's a cracking sign, that is. But then Mark started playing him on the right, and he just now seems to have dropped away a little bit, almost like he's like, have I been brought in? Do they really want me type of thing? And so maybe a few games on out wide, getting some balls into the box for Sims, and then them turn on to Bassett and things like that. Yeah, so in summary, after all that, 4-4-2.
4-4-2.
Yeah, 4-4-2. That's what I'm doing.
Good. So you're both on for 4-4-2. The way you said about playing players in the right positions, that's what Miles goes on about all the time, doesn't he? You've signed these players. Why are you playing him out of position?
Yeah.
It's true though. I mean, that Efron, it was great on the left for. I know it was League One with Peterborough, but he was classed as the best player in that division.
Yeah.
So you must have something about him. I mean, personally, I would put him ahead of Wright just because of Wright's performance last Saturday, which was just totally bizarre, wasn't it? Where, I mean, Asante, I felt sorry for him because he was a bit lost out on the right, and you could see he kept looking around, going, "Where am I meant to be standing?" Wright's played that position plenty of games. He just wasn't working. And you just
first half is right in front of me. I was raging. I mean, I'm fairly tolerant, but that is the one thing that the fact that he just was strolling around the pitch, pointing for other players to do his work. I was like, that made me mad. I was like really angry about that.
And then what annoys me is he makes an effort to get the ball back, and then he sort of leans on the bloke and gives a free kick away. He does that quite regular. So we'll have to see what happens with him. I mean, I don't think he'll start on Saturday. I'll be surprised if he does in a game like that. I'll be very surprised. So, it's an interesting one from Doug Bolam, who thinks Bassett will be worth 30 million in 2 years' time.
He's got the potential, to be fair.
Yeah, and he's yet to score. He's done lots of running around, but he'll be judged on his goals in the end, won't he, playing in that position, unfortunately?
I think he's got a few games as a new young lad. He's 19, as a striker. He's got a few games. He already looks the business. He's got pace, he's got strength, he's got height, he's got drive forward. He's always looking forward. He's got an assist. I know he'll be ultimately judged on goals, but a lad that's putting himself about like he is will have maybe more time before fans will get onto him without scoring a goal than people like Sims, who are a bit more standy still kind of players.
Standy still players. We love a standy still player, don't we?
Target man. Sorry, a bit less. Sims more of a target man.
Lee Dan. Evening, Lee. Our poor form has nothing to do with too many backroom staff. As we started losing back at the end of last season with AD, etc., being here, plenty being out, maybe a blessing in disguise, bringing a loan in. This is Dave Saunders. Oh, Dave Saunders. If it doesn't get better soon, MR will be sacked by Christmas. Do you reckon that's how he said it, Jack?
Yeah, ever the positivity from my dad, yeah. To be fair, he's right though. He doesn't want Mark Robins to be sacked, but he's right. Doug will have been in 2 years at Christmas ish.
Yeah.
You know, he's poured money into the club, not his own. All right, it's been generated from player sales mostly and playoff finals and FA Cup semi-finals. But when a manager gets this amount of money backed on him and we don't perform, that's and especially under new ownership, that's when changes start to be made. We've seen it in the backroom staff. Will we see it in the manager position? So I don't disagree with my dad. I don't like the negativity, but I completely agree with him.
This is from Chris Baldwin. He's a Leeds fan. I'm a Leeds fan. We are far from convincing, and Coventry will definitely get at least a draw. Oh, interesting. We've got a chance. While is Farker still in charge? Is he? Is it Farker?
Yeah.
Yeah. We just want to beat them so I can keep saying Farker all the time during the show. It could work into loads of things. Mick Davenport, Robins won't get sacked, but whether he walks is another matter. I don't think he'll walk because he won't get anything. Right, Simon Hopkins. The problem regarding Eccles as captain is precisely the fact that he is captain. Robins has concluded he is the most captain-worthy player. He is a good player and tries harder than anyone. That, though, is what worries me. He's almost captain by default. That's interesting. It's like down the pecking order, isn't it, almost? Yes. So we got Quinton Cartwright. The young lads cannot sign contract until they are 16 or so. The big clubs can come in and snap up our best players like Man City did last month.
Yeah, that's a good point as well, isn't it? That it's so much harder to keep hold of your decent young players before they get nicked by like these Chelsea and Man Cities with their massively inflated youth team squads that they're then known out to other clubs. It's just something needs to be done about that. Something needs to be done about that, really, doesn't it? I think
it's the ones that are already still here, though. Which, like I said, the big crew looked all right when he came on. The games he's played, and you just think, are we in a position where we can just loan out players when our squad doesn't seem big enough to do that currently? That's my point at the moment.
I suppose it's a difficult balance, isn't it? Because these players need to develop, don't they? They're still learning, and they're not going to play week in, week out here. So he's sitting on a bench doing enough for their development. So it's hard, isn't it, to work out what the best thing is to do. I mean, personally, I'll be sending them out for loan with recall options so that if we need them, we get them back. That's how I think it should be done. So if we've got like like with midfield, we can recall Howley, and with the chance he's going to play some games. But he's not going to just sit here when he's not going to play games. So that's how I'll do it. But
I think they're being sent out on loan because they're not good enough themselves, unfortunately. Like we said earlier, if we were bottom end of the Championship or top end of League One, Howley'd be perfect. But I don't think he's up to the level we want to be at, unfortunately.
I mean, talking about the actual transfer market itself and our dealings, do you think it's a right decision not to have any loans? Because you look at other clubs, loan players can get you up, which is ultimately what we want. It just seems a bit odd that we've got a chance to get a couple of players in that could have helped us, and our owner doesn't want to go down that road. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this when we discuss Mark Robins, but sometimes there's only so many miracles that man can perform, and you do need help. And I think that's one thing we're lacking in is, a couple of loan players, good ones that could lift they could have lifted the whole team, basically. So here we go. We got Paul Thompson. I think the days of finding another Maddison and the like are gone. If a lad now is any good, age 14, 15, they're off to Man City, Chelsea, or whoever. Colin White says, Eccles is not a captain, with a laughing emoji. This is from Killian O'Dwyer. That's a lot of letters beforehand. It looks like an eye test, doesn't it? We need a centre mid, an experienced and centre back come January as soon as possible. I'll tell you what, I'll be amazed if we sign anybody in January. We don't normally do of any note.
We have done under King.
Have we? Who?
Well, first January window, we got McNally and the left back and the right back, Josh Esbrand and Norton Cuffey, all in on loans. That's 3 of them. We had a good summer. A good summer. We had a busy summer last year. We've had a busy summer this year. And in January, we got in Torp and we made the purchase of Efron. So 4 windows, we've done a lot of business. Apart from all 4 of the recent ones under the new owner, what have we done in the past?
The roads and the sewage works, and what else has Ducking done for us?
What more answer do you want, Claudio?
That's what I want. That's what I've got you in here for, the facts and figures of recent times. Short-term memory. Maybe as you get older, that's what happens to it. I can tell you in 1963, it was the sub or something. Wayne Vaughan, I agree with CC regarding captain, and he says a 3-5-2. Killian O'Dwyer has gone for 4-2-3-1 is the only answer. Almost Christmas tree.
I did think that before, actually. I don't know who he's intending to play in those positions, but 4-2-3-1 was one of the things that I mulled over in my mind. So that's the trouble. There's so many different dynamics, isn't there, trying to fit everybody in. So you just got to hope at some point that Mark works out the best way to get the best out of the players, and we have done that a few times, haven't we? During the sort of time he's been here, like little changes to formations or tactics to sort of fit what we've got. So hopefully that can come about again.
Anthony Pettifer agrees with you, Vicky. We need to take the chances. Assassins Unite. We're going to put on a video in a second for a little break. Assassins Unite. We haven't got the best midfield, but 5 in the midfield will give us more control. And this is from Gavin. Gavin Collins. No, Jack. Going up Friday. I'm in the posh seats with my lad. My mate's a Leeds fan. He's going with 7 of his family. Might need a tin hat.
Good luck, Gav.
All right. Trevor Merriman says, why is Mark Robbins not playing 2 strikers at home? Yes, 1 strike away is okay. Okay, well, I'll try and find this video. Vicky and Jack, if we went with 2 strikers, who would be your preferred 2?
Well, for me, it's Sims and Bassett. I want to see them get some game time together. So that would be my preferred.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that gives you just go with me here, a dynamic of like a McNulty and Biamu. So Sims is similar to Biamu. They're target men. They don't necessarily sprint around a lot. And then Bassett's is the McNulty is the guy that runs around and finds himself on the wing and picks the ball up and runs. We could find ourselves with a very similar dynamic. That one seemed to be fairly successful. We scored an average of 2 goals a game with those 2 in the front line. So, yeah, go with it. That would be my 2.
In all honesty, I think they are the only 2 currently on form. Even though Bassett's only played a couple of games, but I've seen enough from him that's going to cause problems. And I think, I think Ellis Sims needs a bit of help. I don't think he's a lone striker.
And I think they've played. So in the Spurs game, like when we were really pushing and Rodoni and Bassett were getting forward, there were times when you were thinking, we just need a Sims in the box, and he wasn't there. And then they took Bassett off and brought Sims on, and Sims was doing stuff, and you're thinking, he just needs a Bassett to lay off now. And so you're just like, why are we not playing them together? That's what you really need. So I really think that could be an exciting partnership.
I mean, he wants balls in the box like Bassett gave to Asante against Spurs.
Yeah.
They're the goals he scores, really.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Right, so now we're going to play. This is from Mr. View Sky. This is quite long, this video. It's obviously us playing against Leeds United, so we can sit back, relax, have a sip. Toilet break for some people, maybe. He's come back. We've still got more to talk about. Well, basically, is Mark Robbins still the right man to sail the ship? How's that?
Leeds coming away again. Hasselbank on the charge here. Oh, he's pinched that ball. And he's finished in off the far post. Didn't think much of the cartwheel, but the finish was superb. and 16 minutes gone. It's Leeds 1, Coventry 0. Short header. John and Huckabee. He's in on goal now. You put his money on him finishing, and he does. Oh, he really is a clinical finish. Oh, his cartwheel's even worse than Hasselbank's. But it's 1-1 on the score sheet. Forces his way past Kelly here and just drills the ball past Martin. Bit of nudging there and a free kick given indirect to Leeds United for that foul on Haaland. Now the discussions going on as to what they should do here. 28 minutes into the play, it's 1-1 the scoreline. Can Leeds forge further ahead? Hasselbank with a shot! Oh, Krizovic got to it, but he couldn't keep it out. And there's that victory routine again. 2 goals for Hasselbank. All over the top. Huckabee. He's lobbed the keeper, has he? Just past the post. Well, Martin was all at sea there. That would have been a great goal. Great vision from Darren Huckabee. Long throw right across the face of the 6-yard box there. Oh, that must have hurt. But Huckabee now sent away. It's 1-on-1 here. Oh, and he's lost his marker. Can he beat the keeper? He can! 2-2. 2 goals for Hasselbank, 2 goals for Darren Huckabee. And there's no stopping this man when he's through on a one-on-one like that. He really is deadly. Measures his shot perfectly. Territory, of course. Huckabee holding his man off well. He does that so brilliantly too. He's not the biggest of strikers, but he's got great upper body strength. And this time it's a free kick to Coventry City. So what will the situation be here? Martin trying to make sure his ball is correctly positioned. Always some invention in their free kick routines, and Marcus Hall went very, very close there. Well struck shot from him. Dublin. Cut out, well anticipated there. And there's Huckabee, they played him in over the top again, and there's another clinical finish from the young striker. That's his hat-trick. It's Leeds United 2, Coventry City 3, rather Hasselbank 2, Huckabee 3. And look at this, he's got in front of Gary Kelly. And once he's in that position, there's no stopping him. Martin hitting the front with that long clearance. Hasselbank doing the pushing. Oh, he's lucky there, the ball's rolled kindly for him. Kuhl's in the middle, and Kuhl turns it in. And the young Australian, who's had such a fine season, makes it 3-3 with 15 minutes to play.
Well,
see, we're going to be able to defend.
that's the key. And it's the reason we ended up getting relegated, because defensively we were terrible at times back then. But what would we do for Dublin, Huckabee and Whelan up front now? These are three.
That's a sign. That's going to be a Brissett hat-trick on Saturday now. That's a sign, that is.
and all 3 were signed out of the reserves at the time.
Yeah.
Huckabee was in the reserves at Newcastle,
No.
Whelan was in and out, but he was mainly in the reserves at Leeds. And Dublin, of course, he'd come back from broken leg, was in the reserves of Man United.
Yeah.
And just because I looked at that, and I wasn't a fan of Gary Breen, never was. I just thought it was so weak. I remember one game where he was up against Duncan Ferguson, and it was just assault and battery. I mean, he used to do that to most players, Duncan Ferguson. But it's almost like everyone watching kept saying, stop going up for the first header because he's 6'7" and you're never going to win it. And it was just bouncing off him. It was just he had a nightmare game against him. But anyway, a bit of old football, Jack.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, to be fair, the pitch looked quite nice for considering a lot of old footage I've watched where the pitch is torn up. I've seen us playing worse pitches than that for the last few years. It's older than me, Vicky.
I know. I mean, to Jack, that was like black and white. That was.
Yeah, it might be your heyday. That's before I was born.
Yeah. So before we carry on, if you're enjoying it, if you haven't, please like and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, as I found out. I mean, not just like last week, but a while back. It doesn't cost anything. It's just a little click and a little like, and it's just a bit of appreciation for us. And you get notified when things are happening, which is all good fun. Also, Coach Travel. I don't know which one is the right one, but we'll go with this one for your Coventry City away games. ccfctravel.co.uk, and I'll put it up again. ccfctravel.co.uk. They used to be the official provider to Coventry City, but they're not now. Don't know why, but they do give a good service. And of course, for your parking for home games, there are 2 or 3 car parks that where I park, and I think Vicky would explain when she parks. There's 3 car parks the other side of the road closures, which are perfect if you want to get away and you don't get blocked in, basically. Yeah. So it's worth going on the website and looking at the map to see where the car parks are. So the big question then. I'll try and dramatic. I haven't got a drum roll. The big question everybody's lips. Right. Is Mark Robins still the right man to lead the Sky Blues? So, start with you, Vicky.
Yes.
Is that it? And why do you think yes?
Because I feel that, well, a whole host of reasons, but trying to summarise them quickly so we're not here all night. But one, I think that the way the club's going, he's directed us from League Two to where we are now. It's been a journey that he's really directed, because obviously we've had ownership issues, pitch issues, all the rubbish, and he's just pulled off miraculous miracles after miraculous miracles. So personally, I think I find it a bit disrespectful that people are so quick to call for his head. So that's one thing. But then you've got to take the sentiment out of it. So then you're looking at, can he actually do the job? And I think he's shown time and time again that he can. He's took us through the leagues. He's progressed year on year. Last season was the first season that you could say was a dip because we ended poorly, but it still was one of the best championship season finishes that we've had. So I think we finished 9th. It's the 3rd best championship season we've had. So it's still not the disaster that some are making. It was a disappointment. It's not a disaster. I think they're 2 different things. We're hoping for something. And ultimately, I just feel that we see these other clubs sacking manager after manager and going nowhere because they're having to start again from scratch. So, like, for example, Stoke is a perfect example. They've spent millions. They've been through like 11 managers in some ridiculously short period of time, and each manager comes in with their new ideas and their new players, and now they've got a squad of disjointed players. I still feel that this is Robin's team, and just because it needs a few tweaks here and there doesn't mean that he can't get the job done. For me, he's still the man, and until I feel like he's not taking us forward or that he has lost the dressing room, and I know some people are suggesting that's the case, but I don't believe that to be true. He's still got my support until one of those 2 things happens, personally.
Jack, are you a Robins lover?
Yeah, I still, yeah, I think not like that, not like that. I still think he's the right man for the job. Yeah, agreeing with Vicky on most of those points. He's not the wrong man for the job. Simple as. We've seen teams sack managers, replace them, and it's not worked, and they've gone backwards. Look at the season we got relegated. We have 4 managers. I know Robbins was one of them. Nothing in that season was in his control, but that wasn't good. I don't want us to be that sort of club. It's track record recently. If you give manager time, he's successful. Look at Arteta when he took over Arsenal. They stuck with him. He had a really poor run of form. They stuck with him. And now he's been on the edge of winning 2 Premier Leagues. He's won an FA Cup. Robbins has earned the right to go if and when he wants to, I think. I don't think he'll walk, but he's earned that right, in my opinion. And in terms of actually managing the team, I think he's now been given less of a role almost, in the fact that Doug King's the one calling the shots with the transfers. There's rumours he's intervening actually with team selection on a game-by-game basis, which, if that's the case, our downturn of form has coincided with that almost. So I trust Robbins. Absolutely, I do. And we've seen the backroom staff change drastically as well in the last 9 months, starting with Dave Boddy going. Obviously, we've had the new performance analyst, whose name I can never remember the lady's name.
Dr. Claire.
Dr. Claire, there we go, Dr. Claire. And then we've had, obviously, Dennis leave, AD leave. Now, it doesn't matter the circumstances. That's a big shift. Robbins has lost his core leadership group from his point of view. That's going to take time to change with, quantity over quality perhaps now in terms of the staff we've got. I'm not saying they're bad. They haven't proven themselves yet, because we have taken that bit of a step backwards recently. So we've got to give it time. We've had a change of backroom staff in terms of a chairman, a performance analyst, and a load of new coaches. We've got to put trust in that. Otherwise, we're going to end up like Chelsea or Watford or one of those ridiculous clubs, and that's just no fun.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like the whole picture, and I know I put loads of stats up all the time on Facebook and other socials saying, look at our run of form, how many wins, how many losses, etc. If Mark Robbins had decided after the playoff final, I've had enough, I'm just going to step away. I think I've done my bit. I've had a great time here, walked away. It would have been one of those, what if moments, if he stuck around. So if the new guy had come in off the back and had that sort of season he had last season, even though he got to semi-final, but then had the run of form at the back end and the run of form at the start of this season, that manager would be gone, I think. I don't think he'd be here. I think what's happened is you've got to be stupid not to recognise what he's done previously with a lot less. So you kind of think, surely, with a bit more, it should be better. When at work, I don't know how it works for you guys. I'm at work, we get a new project. Being one of the managers, you get called in. The boss, he owns the company, similar thing as Doug King. How are we going to go about it? And we all chuck in our pennies worth. And then more often than not, he'll say, what do you need to do it? How can we get this project out the door quick enough? And he'll say, tell me what you need. Now, if I give him a list of things that I think I need to do it, and he comes back with 50% of it, I'm going to say, I'll tell you what, I don't think we can do it. It's going to be a bit of a stretch. And if we don't do it, he can't be disappointed. And I think that's kind of happened here. I don't think he can do what he wants to do when we've not signed the players we really need. And I think that's where the issue lies this season. And I don't know why. There's obviously, we hear lots of stuff in the background noise about what's going on behind the scenes. And if our owner doesn't want to pay the money, he ain't going to pay the money. And that's all there is to it. So then but what would be annoying though, if he does turn around in 6 games time and we're still not winning, and then he gets rid of him, and then come January, he gives somebody a pot of money, that'd be really annoying, because I'd sooner trust Mark Robbins with that pot of money than anybody else coming in. Yeah. And he knows these players. And I mean, I don't agree with everything. I used to think his substitutions were lousy at times and slow and 85th minute, basically. And they were strange, weren't they? And then he went through this sort of stage of making early substitutions. and loads of substitutions. And it felt like he's got backtracked a bit now as well on his substitutions, whereas he's been a bit more careful. Whether or not he's trying to manage the squad, as he says, because they're not all fully fit, I don't know. But if he goes, I mean, it's not the end of the world. As fans, we're always going to be here. The owner will come and go, managers come and go, players come and go. We'll always be here. But I'm not. Who's really out there? You'd have to go if our chairman owner has got real ambitions. Now, people may laugh at this. You got to look at somebody like David Moyes, something of that caliber, where he's got teams out of the Championship, he's got teams into Europe, he's won a European trophy. Where West Ham, they can moan all they want, he won it. He didn't offer him a new contract. Look how that's going with the guy they got now. You know what I mean? It's there. The proof's in the pudding. That's a sort of caliber of manager. If he really wants to live this bit of a dream at the minute of 3 out of 5 in the playoffs and 2 years around the playoffs. And I've said this, I think the pressure on Mark Robins has come from the ownership because he's set the target. Mark Robins didn't come out and say, it's 3 and 5 years, we're going to be in the play. He's playing it down, isn't he now? The expectation levels are too high, what people are expecting. So, of course, start of the season, we're going to turn up as fans and go, well, why aren't we winning 4-0 every game? We've been told 3 out of the next 5 we're going to be in the playoffs. 1 year's gone. I keep saying it. It's 3 out of the next 4. I said it last week. I'll be amazed. I tell you, if we go up, if we get promoted this season, I will do the show dressed as a pantomime dame or something. That's something off RuPaul.
Well, Jack, we witnessed this now.
Yeah. We started the season. We got to the playoff final. We started worse than this. So just relax, Claudia. Relax.
Might regret that in a couple of months.
but I think a lot of us all got lured into this thing of it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I mean, he's come in. He said the right stuff, the owner. But sometimes you've got to give the manager the right tools to create something magical. And we had it with Gyökeres and Hamer, O'Hare, but these players are gone. I mean, but we have got Milan, who's a great right fullback. I mean, Sims and Wright, they could come good, really good. I mean, they did well last season, but really good. Ben Sheaf, I mean, he's another guy who came through Sisu, really. If he stops being injured, would help, wouldn't it? It's so frustrating. But to lose Robins now would be, I think, a mistake, an absolute mistake. I mean, I'm not his biggest fan in terms of sometimes the selection of that, but I just think what the club, it doesn't need to be made any more unstable with all the stuff that's been said about what's going on in the background. And I think if he was to let him go now, people will start saying, oh, maybe there is stuff going on then, because he's not his man. He came in afterwards. He doesn't know him anything, and he doesn't really, does he? Because I suppose he could just judge him on the performances that he's done when Doug King's been in charge, basically, and he could look at it and go, well, okay. I mean, the first 6 months, that's still Sisu's squad, wasn't it? Really, it's the. I mean, and that's why they were sat in the at Wembley, weren't they? Because I think even Doug King realised that. I mean, it's all now from the last year or so that he can base it on. And I think it'd be a mistake. So the short answer is no, we can't sack him. He's the man to stay with us.
We've all agreed on something for the first time tonight.
Also, whoever runs the TikTok for the Sky Blue Fans TV, can you get the bit with Claudio saying he'll dress as a pantomime dame, please? Cheers. Thank you.
I'll do Cruella de Vil. I can do Cruella. Although after a few drinks, I look like Robert Smith out of The Cure. So let's read some more comments. We've got a lot here. We'll get through. We'll pick up some good ones. Right. This one's first. Even Doug is against Robins not letting him sign Matty James in midfield. Mick Davenport will never do any good while King is interfering. All clubs have loans. This is a strange one. Sean Maguire signed that January with all the loans as well. Pity he never got a chance.
Yeah, I forgot about him. Sorry.
Yeah, that was he hardly played him, didn't he? Dawn Cook, I do love Vicky's voice of reason. Get applying for the assistant manager role. Vic Star. You're winning the stakes tonight. Glenn Watkin, what was with Leeds?
Depends on my hair.
With Leeds at me, Cov being high scoring games. I remember a few 3-3 and 4-3. Yeah. And Dan, Doug King's lack of football club ownership is starting to show. His heart is in the right place, but too many coaches and changes, in my opinion. Glenn
I'll just say
reckons
something on that point to see what you think about it. Because I was watching the Man City Arsenal game on Sunday.
Yeah.
And obviously you got Pep there, and he's got all his staff behind. And I was thinking, when you get to the end of the season and win the title yet again, that he gets all his staff out. I mean, they've got stuff coming out their ears. So, do we think? So, a lot of these top clubs have got lots of coaches. We've obviously been a lower league club and a badly run club for years, so we had very little, by the way, of any structure. So, we're now moving in a direction where we're looking more like a Premier League club setup. Do you think that we've just done that too quickly? So we've focused on that part of the club rather than the playing part too quickly. He's trying to get the infrastructure in place, thinking that's what we need because he's looking at other top clubs, but done that too quickly when we've got other things that needed to be prioritised.
Well, that's interesting because that's almost similar to what Jack was saying about if he sold somebody for loads of money, should we concentrate on better facilities for an academy?
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, if he sacrifices 2 seasons to get everything in order, so the 3 seasons from now we look like the bee's knees, then he's made some great decisions, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know what you think, Jack. Are you agree?
I mean, we're for 2 seasons, 3 seasons now. We are a top half championship club. We all know how chaotic the championship is. Anyone can beat anyone in their day. We all know that. We've all seen it. So the fact that we've established ourselves as a top half club, are we going to do that again this year? I don't know. I think we'll be mid-table in the grand scheme, but we've established ourselves as a safe championship club. Now's the time to gamble in terms of maybe taking a step back with personnel on the pitch and building the club up from the ground up, because we can afford to drop 20 points in the championship and still be safe. So maybe now's the time to do that rather than go all guns blazing. You look at Luton, what a year it was winning at Wembley and then going up. You know, that's fantastic. They don't have an academy, like even compared to us, they probably don't. They had to get in Ross Barkley and Andros Townsend, and even that didn't work. That's the equivalent of loans, isn't it? One year contract for players. They speculated and it didn't work. It almost did, but it didn't. So. And they've come straight back down, and they're, just a bit better than us so far this season. Who knows? They could drop back to League One and League Two and struggle with again, like we say, no academy, nothing coming through. They've got a new stadium on the horizon, which is great for them, but the football can go backwards, irrelevant to the stadium. The fact that we're established now is the time to gamble with something like that, I think.
Yeah, we could become Bristol City, or otherwise known as Bristol City 12th, because that's where they always finish, don't they? And that's a club, as the guy who only came on, where the owner owns everything, and probably should be doing way better than what they're doing. But they seem to concentrate more on the rugby than the football side of things.
But it's a good platform to build off, though, isn't it? If he wants to concentrate more on rugby, that's his opinion, and that's unfortunate. The football club. But if a new owner came in and was all for football and less concentrating on rugby, that is a perfect platform to build a football club off that wants to go upwards in the world.
Yeah. Well, Wayne says yes if he's allowed to manage. Trevor Merriman, yes to Mark Robbins as the right manager, having doubts about DK now. Ralph Wiggins, yes, he is the right man to lead us. It's good that it's positive for Mark Robbins. That's what we like to hear. Glenn Watkin, in all seriousness, Robbins is the man for the job to get us back on track. I feel Doug isn't of the opinion, though, and he could act in October international break. Right. James Holyoke, what is his job? We had hundreds of coaches, apparently. He doesn't have any say in recruitment. So what is his job now at City? He doesn't look happy at all this season. Yeah, that's what everyone said.
I saw him napping on the track. I don't know. Like, there seems to be a weird thing about that. Like, we've almost creating conspiracy theories. Like, you watch some of the footage. I've actually seen him laughing more on the training ground this season than I have, because he's never been a particularly smiley. I mean, I remember when he did the interview when we got promoted from League One, and they did that thing because it was COVID, and so they did that show, and he was getting interviewed by somebody, I can't remember who it was now. And I thought, you wouldn't think we just got promoted. He wasn't. I mean, I'd have been bouncing off the roof because I was so excited. And he was just like, oh yeah, we've done the job, and you're just thinking, smile a bit. So he's never been overly smiley ever. So I don't know. There's like people just trying to make more than that than there is really for me.
But I think that's the role of the modern manager. And you say maybe that's what they're trying to do. The continental way of doing things, like they do at Man City and other clubs, where loads of people, he gives them a list of what he needs, not actual players, and then they say, look, these are ones available. The chances are the players he wants, they're not available anyway. That's the way it is. Just because we think we're magnificent doesn't mean the player and the agent we're trying to get hold of think we're magnificent. Dawn Cook says 100% MR should stay. People have short memories and there's no one better for us out there. So people need to give it a rest and have a day off. Angry face.
Proper angry face.
Graham Cockrell, Mark is the right man. But as I said, the backroom staff are not up to the task. Colin Banfield, hi all, just managed to get online. Doug Bolam, MR deserves to complete this journey. He just needs his staff to step up to the plate. In Plymlott, nobody with a reputation that MR has is available. I don't want a big name. I want stability with ability. I'm going to use that at work tomorrow. I believe he's been held back by infrastructure issues, not of his doing. Assassins Unite. He has credit in the bank, but things have to change soon. Colin says, behind the scenes, we need to know what's going on. Mark Robbins looks like he's had enough with his after-match interview. I'll just read Axel F. 100% MR has earned the right, credit in the bank, to have a mediocre season, but it's not about what we fans think, it's about what the owner thinks. He said in the interview, though, didn't he, that you may not think it, but I'm not. He was angry. He was angry on Saturday, but he's very good at hiding stuff like that. But I don't think he was, because he wanted to do a proper outburst, but he's just not like that. It's like you say, Vicky. It's kind of straight on the line, whether it's good or bad. He keeps it straight. There's no histrionics, He's no Nathan Jones, whatever his name is. So, Robin subs this season, I agree, he should stay, but 4 times he's brought subs on in the finely balanced game that we've gone on to lose, conceding very shortly after the subs. Stoke, Norwich, Watford, Spurs, all games where subs made us worse. That's a good point. Good point. All right, so Colin, honestly. Questions say if we get relegated. That's not going to happen. I know we won't. Oh, yeah, I know we won't. But if it happens, what happens to the people that got a Premier season ticket? Pay double.
We have to hope for 2 seasons. We have to hope for 2 promotions in a row so we get to the Premier League whilst it's in the 5 years. And then we're still laughing.
It'll be reevaluated, but the premise will stay the same, won't it? I've signed up to a 5-year thing, so I'm thinking.
The new manager would bring his own staff, put 20 of ours out of a job. That's true. Wayne reckons it's null and void, Colin, your season ticket. And Lee Dan, the main problem with our squad at present is the number of 10 backup. Who steps in if Radoni gets injured? Big concern for me. I would also play 3 at the back. And Graham Cockrell. I hope we have a good ref because the last one could not see a penalty. So, I suppose. This is from Alison absolutely to MR, a new in address Claudio. Don't knock it, Alison. You'd be surprised. I can pull it off, as they say. Alison Berry, absolutely to MR. Oh no, I've just read it again. I'll read different comments. David Moyes is the name I mentioned last month, but very unlikely. I think that's how high you've got to go. to get anything better. If there's, at
It's
the
not
minute.
worth it, is it? Yeah.
So looking
I
ahead
saw
then.
that some of the Arsenal fans were like, you were saying earlier about Arteta sticking with him, but some of the Arsenal fans are after him being moved on. So it just shows, doesn't it, in football, that no matter what you're doing, there'll always be somebody that doesn't think it's good enough and wants you moved on.
Well, just a few things we're going to, before we end the show, is like and subscribe. Also, the coach travel, because I believe some people are still looking for coach travel for Leeds. And I take it you're going, aren't you, Jack?
Yeah, we've got space on the coach, actually, if you're interested.
And also, Leamington Warwick have got an event on the, what date is it?
Next Thursday.
Is it that soon?
Yeah, it's next Thursday.
Right, so next Thursday, and it's the Boys of 87. So we've got five of the lineup turning up, I believe. Oggy, Benno, Mickey Ginn, Lloyd McGrath, who you don't see very often at these events, and David Phillips.
I didn't remember that off the top of my head.
and Billy Bell will be comparing, so it should be good. And I believe it's £10 for non-members. If you're under 16, it's free, or under 18, under 16, it's free, or something like that.
Might be a fiver, but it's something like that. You can turn up on the day. We've got spare places. Nelson Club in Warwick. It's all over our social media. I even think Sky Blue Fans TV have shared it on their social media. So if you're interested, have a look and come along.
All right, we've got just a few more comments before we wrap it up this evening. Thanks for joining us. We've got one from Keelan O'Brien. Who's your favourite player in the under-21s? Oh, blimey.
Well, they're all out alone, the best lot.
The ones that striker that came on against Blackburn away, what was his name? He looked not bad.
Oh, yeah, Dausch. That's a good shout. I wonder if he gets pulled out and taken somewhere else. Simon Hopkins, I would say John Eustace is much more likely than Moyes, and it's possible. Whether or not it's a good idea is another question. Dawn Cook, careful what you wish for. We could end up with Rooney. Oh, blimey.
Exactly, disaster.
Colin Branfield will be there next Thursday. It'll be a good night. Fine lines in the Championship. This is PRG. Fine lines in the Championship. We need a couple of cut above players to evaluate yourself over the chuff. We've had these players before. Not so sure now. If anyone can unearth a gem, it's MR. Trevor Merriman, good show, guys, but worrying because that's twice Claudio's threatened to wear a dress, and there's nothing wrong with Robert Smith. Well, prediction then. Let's have our predictions. So come on then, Vicky. What do you reckon?
I'm feeling all optimistic now. We've had a nice chat about some football. We've put the world to right, and I'm feeling all optimistic. So I'm going to go 2-1. We're going to win it. I actually think we're going to get 3 points, 2-1.
Jack?
My optimism doesn't extend as far as yours, Vicky. I've still got optimism, but optimistic right now is a draw away at Elland Road. I'm going to go 1-1. We don't keep clean sheets.
Yeah, I think I'm going with you, Jack. I'm going to start sitting on the fence. I was doing much better when I was sitting on the fence, so I'm going to sit on the fence. This, I think we're an awkward club to play against when we need to get a result, and this is one of those games, I think. And away from home, Leeds will be on the front foot, and I think if we play, I hate these expressions like low block and all that sort of stuff. Basically, just defend your 18-yard box. Do an Arsenal against Man City for most of
the bus. That's what they call it. Park the bus.
We need a few of them, I think. And they're not as strong as they were last season. They've lost 2 or 3 key players. So if we can just do what we did, park the bus, sneak a goal, we could end up with a draw, I think. I think we've got a good chance of a draw. So before I go, I want to advertise my Sky Blue History podcast with Jim Brown. We've got one out at the minute on Spotify. I think it might be on YouTube tomorrow, discussing for the history people the 1970-71 program. You probably think, oh, that's boring, but it's not, because we've got the 2 authors of a book called 1 Shilling, which is all about football programs, and it's all about John Alvin, who designed our programme, and his son is on the show as well. And it's fascinating because the programme has got its state-of-the-art graphics when it came out, and it won Programme of the Year. And as we say in the podcast, whereas nowadays the designers who win this Leeds award, this fashion award and design award, are people like Adidas and Puma, and some guy in a house in King Richard Street in Coventry designed a programme that won this prestigious world award. And it's a good listen because we cover other stuff as well. But you'll find us on Spotify with that. I think that was well done. Right, we're going to go. We'll be back on Sunday. I think everyone's going to be available. So, and hopefully we'll come away with Leeds with a decent result. So, play up Sky Blues.
Play up
You're
Sky
meant to join
Blues.
in. Jack?
Play up Sky Blues, come on.
Sky Blue Fans TV, for the fans, by the fans.